Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. It's a tough crowd I saw, so we'll try to get people to actually get interactive. Ausamah Khatib from KGC. We're going to look at some insights and trends that we are looking at KGC. We always have to, as a service provider to our partners, know what is happening in the market, what's the upcoming things that we need to look at, so we know what are the right solutions and trainings that we need to develop so that we can offer to you. But first, this is a good place to start this month because, well, we're midway, but it's a good place to start going into a human capital month with the HCI at the end of the month. This is at a time when all HR leaders are looking at their yearly plans and what do we need for trainings for our employees. Coming off of last week, just with a quick show of hands, how many attended or participated in the Riyadh Marathon last week? Nobody? Oh, thank you. Did you train properly for that marathon? Actually, which one did you do? Which 4 kilometers, 10, 21, 42? 10. And how did you come out of it? It was challenging. So I did the marathon as well. I woke up at the beginning of this year and I said, this year is about breaking my routines. So I said, I saw the marathon advertisement and I said, you know what? I told my wife we're going to go and we're going to participate in this marathon. Now, I'm a healthy person, but I'm trying to get healthier. So over the past couple of months, I have been back in the gym and I do a lot of exercise. Mainly swimming is what I found is best for my body because it doesn't put too much stress on me. So I go and I swim 30 minutes, 45 minutes of going back and forth in the swimming pool. And I do some upper body exercises, having done surgery previously, where I want to strengthen my muscles in my shoulder where I did the surgery. So then I was like, okay, I've been doing this for a couple of months. I go swimming 3 to 4 times a week. And I said, marathon, nothing. It's easy. I'm going with my wife. She's not intensive into sports. So we said we'll do the 4-kilometer walk, and we'll just have a nice brisk walk early in the morning together. Now, I'm a bit limping. I'm actually a lot better today. I came out of that. Stamina-wise, I was okay because I was training in my swimming, my stamina. But feet, not so good. I came out of that limping at the end of that. I've been struggling this whole week to the point that I did not know if I was going to make it today. And that's a bit what L&D is all about. If you have the right training, you come out of things much better and you have a much bigger impact and you have much bigger success. But if you don't have the right training, I still did exercise my stamina, but it wasn't what was right for the marathon at the time. And that's why we are always saying we need to have the right trainings and understand what is the need and the right needs for the trainings for our employees. So we're going to look at a couple of different topics. We're going to look at, based on our study, what were the top 5 trends in 2023. We're going to look at how you can elevate your L&D strategy, especially with the digital world and AI that you mentioned right now, and how to adapt to that. And then finally, we have a 9-step framework that we follow at KGC when we're developing our solutions for our partners. I know sometimes we like to take pictures of the slides. Do not worry. At the end, we're going to allow you guys to download the full ebook that has all the data that we're presenting today with a little more as well. Looking at the 5 trends that we found in 2023, that there is a rise in L&D demand in the workplace. And this is really driven in Saudi Arabia because the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman believes the biggest asset in the country is people. And if you look at the Human Capability Development Program, which is a very long document, but it's a very well put together document, you realize that the majority of the successes that the country will have is through developing its people. We look at that, we see there's a growth in the demand for soft skills development. Now, soft skills could be leadership, could be teamwork, it could be having how to have a more inclusive workplace through empathy. Then there's also the challenge in digital skills, where there's a lot of emerging tech and emerging technologies coming in place. And the question that was asked is actually right. He's like, with these technologies, there's a lot of resistance and change. Now, I'm a change management professional, And I like the ADKAR model, and just to add on top of what was discussed, today, you're right. The need for change, everybody is aware of it. The desire to change is there because everybody wants to see this country achieve its vision 2030. Where the challenge comes in is having the knowledge and the ability. Knowledge is theory, and ability is the skills. And that's where you find today the biggest challenge when you're having all this continuous and fast change. Again, I like what you said when you said fast change. Knowledge and ability is where, so there's a big challenge in navigating that skill gap when it comes to digital skills. Then we look at the generative AI and emerging tech. And this is something that's very big. I'm happy to see that you said a lot of people are using AI in Misk. We know a lot of companies that have found that AI is helping them reduce cost, be more efficient, and just they need to learn how to use it. I mean, Google or Amazon, they're putting programs which teach you how to do prompt engineering. This could potentially come up as a whole new career path for some people. Finally, we're looking at how the future of work is really hinged on skills-first strategy, and the government is doing perfect on that. Ministry of Human Resources have done a lot of work and studies in mapping out what are the competencies and the skills needed for different jobs in different industries, and really focusing all target trainings onto those skill sets that they have found out that they need. And then they build up those learning journeys based on skill sets. So going into a little more depth for each of these trends, the first one, study has shown that 15% of the employees are engaged. It's very low. And part of having a high-performance organization is having highly engaged employees. What's worse is that there's 23% that were actively disengaged and 62% that are regularly disengaged, which gives you a total of 85% that are disengaged at various levels. That 23% is more detriment to your organization than having the 62%, because a very actively engaged person is very toxic to the overall environment, and that will bring everybody down alongside with it. The trend showed that L&D is the solution to try to keep more employees engaged. And when we talk about that, it's having upskilling, reskilling, and then that way they are not going into a slump or a routine. Again, I said I want to break my routine this year. Now, the government is working on a one labor market policy, and that's because they want to have the right person with the right skills in the right place at the right company at the right time. So there has shown that there was a 10% increase in the needs of, or the interest of employees in upskilling. And with the access of a lot of these online platforms, we've done other studies where we've seen people spending at least 6 to 10 hours looking for trainings online on their own time, away from so there is an actual interest and need for L&D by the employees themselves. And having that culture of a continuous learning, which is actually one of the key pillars under the Human Capability Development Program, providing continuous learning opportunities, which leads you to a globally competitive citizen. Trend number 2, across 23 nations, which is looking at what kind of skills are needed, they find that 61% of them, they rank the human skills, the soft skills, the empathy, the leadership, the communication, versus the technical skills importance. And so now there's a bit of a rival. And then when we talk about leadership, it's empathy and leadership. Around 86 to 87% think that empathetic leadership is important. And empathy in it helps for having a more inclusive workplace. And like he said before me, an inclusive workplace is more than just saying, oh, disabilities or anything like that. It's about everybody having a voice and being heard and understood. The way management is done has changed over the years. If you go from the baby boomers who are more military style, get the work done, don't ask too many questions, to today it's more about you have to talk, you have to spend some more time sitting with your employees and so on and so forth. So what does that mean? That it's soft skills is not nice to have, it's a must. You have to look into considering your soft skills trainings into your employees and not just the technical skills. Talking about technical skills. Globally, 75% of employees, they say that filling the specialized and technical roles is going to be a big challenge, which is a 17-year high on this. And this is because of the fast change and fast pace of changing and opportunities to come up with new AI solutions, technological solutions, Even yesterday, we had a meeting with one of the ministries. They're like, we want to shift the industrial industry to go from less low-skilled jobs to more technical jobs. And so the increase in demand on technical jobs is only going to go higher and higher. 50% of HR leaders know that this is going to become very competitive because technical skills are a bit harder to teach than the soft skills, in my opinion, personal opinion. So some of the skills that are in demand, and this is actually in line with 𝐊𝐢𝐳, which is a government entity looking at the digital transformation of the country, cloud computing, big data analytics, AI, and so forth. Trend number 4. 62% the workplace, when we look at generative AI. Again, quick show of hands, and I know he's going to raise his hand. Who uses generative AI? Okay. And do you use this for work or for personal? So for whoever's using it for work, raise your hands. And personal? So there's a bit of hobbyists in the crowd here. So yes, first when AI started coming up and generative AI come up, everyone was like, oh no, this is going to change the workplace. We're going to lose our jobs. Yes, it's going to change the jobs. But 61% of employees globally said no. We actually look at it from a positive way. It actually is helpful. It's actually making us more efficient. I mean, you see videos online where someone was doing an interview with a consulting firm and he had AI listening in, telling him exactly what to respond back to his interview, and he got the job. Very interesting solutions that are coming up out there. From the HR point of view, HR leaders believe that, 72% believe that if we don't adopt AI solutions in the next 12 to 24, you will be left behind, and that's actually very true. Because if you don't move with change and the speed of change, you will find yourself not reacting quickly or as fast to the needs of the market. Delving deeper and closer to heart, since we operate in both UAE and Saudi Arabia, looking at Saudi and UAE, there's slight differences, but they're close enough. So 97% believe Gen AI is going to help their business develop new business policies, processes, solutions, and whatnot, whereas in the UAE, 89%. In Saudi, 90% believe that Gen AI processes will drive employee productivity, but in the UAE a bit higher on that. But in general, our region is already much more higher than the rest of the world at 77% globally. Fifth trend, we talked about the jobs changing because of this shift in digital skills. World Economic Forum says there's about 14 million jobs gap that's going to happen because of the change of jobs and the change of skills. And generally, as HR, you guys know, to hire one person, depending on the industry that you're in, you're going to have to train 2 or 3 or 4 people before you actually fill that role fully. And so 14 million jobs globally is going to be the gap, and that's where the competition is actually going to happen on that. In the Middle East, the pace of upskilling is much faster than the rest of the world, and that's because there is a big focus on the local talent. There is a big focus on the local population. When I say local population in Saudi, we're talking about Saudis. In the UAE, we're talking about UAE nationals. I mean, in the UAE, they just started launching the localization percentages that they want to start pushing that, as Saudi has already been doing for the year. And then the skill sets have changed about 25% since 2015, and that's going to double by 2027. And that's, again, that shows you how fast the required skills that we're looking at is going to change. How to elevate your L&D, we're going to look at some predictions looking forward. So when we go forward into 2024 and 2025, it's really looking at skills development versus knowledge. So you want to target and find the right skills. This is going to help your employees grow. And it's going to really, you have to think about your current employees versus new hires. Again, meeting with the ministry yesterday, he's like, a lot of the programs that are happening country level is trying to create jobs, but what's happening is we're forgetting the people that are already on the job. And how do we have to upskill them or reskill them with the changes that happen, rather than saying, hey, you're no longer needed and someone else is coming into play. Prediction number 2, there's a balance. Like we said, there's an increase in growth for soft skills, especially with the technologies that are coming out, those digital technologies. Yes, you need to train people on them, but it's going to take away from a lot of the jobs. So soft skills in the workplace is becoming much more important and having a rival with technicals. And lastly, continuous learning. We've mentioned it, and I said human capability development program. This is very important, especially when when you look at continuous learning, the best solutions are the micro-learning or the micro-credentialing. And that also allows you, when working on the micro-learning, to help customize your learning journeys for your employees based on each person's needs. So, again, another project we are working on, they said, oh, we want all 30 leaders to go through the exact same program. But we said, but when you assess leaders, and we've done assessment of over 500,000 leaders over the last 17 years, each leader has different mindsets, and that's why the Misk leadership program is very nice, because they actually work separately with each person to really see how that person can be developed so that they all come up at the end to the same level, more or less. And so with micro-learning, that allows you to do that. You have the tool set. So we told the ministry, we're like, listen, we suggest that you do the assessment, and then you see, okay, this person should have a program that does this program. They're like, no, no, no. It has to be the same program. But then the same program doesn't really get everybody up to the same level, because each person has different levels of skills. How to, how to catalyze the performance. It's important, strategic L&D is important for employee engagement. And like we said in the first slide, in trend number 1. And you have to identify what are the competencies and skills. Again, a lot of studies have been done. These things are available to a big extent. And that's where, when L&D comes into play, the more time you spend setting up your skills and competencies and doing your assessments, the better your overall outcome at the end of your L&D strategy comes into play. Now, a lot of companies typically would say, I have skills gap, I have trainings, I have a list of trainings, I know what the trainings I need, and so on and so forth. But it's a bit more than that. Because when you do the proper assessments, identifying skills and competencies that you need for the jobs, as well as the skills and competencies that you have currently in your employees, you might quickly find to say, I need to move an employee from one department to another department because he's going to be much more effective at that department. And a quick story, back when I first graduated, I met a guy who was an engineer working for a multinational FMCG company as a global CHRO. And I'm like, how did you go from engineering to CHRO? He's like, because I kept on working engineering for the first couple of months in different departments in engineering, and I never found myself. Until finally the HR sat with me, they did an assessment, and they said, hey, you have a bit more on the people skills more than you are on the, even though he went and graduated as an engineer. He's like, so they shifted me into HR, admin, and then we slowly worked until he finally became the CHRO of this FMCG company. And then finally, lifelong learning. It does not only engage employees, it also sets up the foundation for innovation and growth for the company. Some things to think about, harness technology. Use the technologies that are available today to customize the learning journeys to be more fit for the employees and align it with your organization goals. Again, something sometimes people forget is, what's the organization goal? So when we look at the country level, the country has goals for human capability development. And they say we need to have leaders, we need to have this, and they put programs specifically to that goal, versus just looking at it at a, I would say, at the government level, it would be like departmental or ministry and whatnot. Another thing is to, again, align the two together, and finally, build that culture of learning. Again, we saw that there's a 10% increase in demand from employees for learning and development. So the need is there, the demand is there, the interest is there, the desire to consume knowledge and training is there as well. We follow a 9-step framework when we're developing L&D strategies for our partners. You can actually just scan the barcodes. You'll have access to download all the information that was just presented, as well as the now full 9-step framework with details on the 9-step framework. To take it home with you, read it on your own, and see how you can take that and apply it to your organizations. And thank you. I'm sorry I ran over time. Or just, like they said, connect with us inside. But let me go back. I saw some people still scanning. Go ahead. Let them just scan it for just a bit. Any questions? Perfect. Thank you very much.